So, Fuego, we just got back from seeing Men in Black International. Do you think we need to be neuralized?
For this one, not really.
I'd agree. Let's get into it.
Do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I mean, Fuego here.
And I thought it'd be fun to do it with these on, but now I realize our lights are going to be in reflection, so let me go ahead
So maybe not.
take them off.
It can't be as funny as that Maggie opener with you and me and Marsha where we all had the sunglasses on.
Yeah, well, that's just because Marsha did an Arnold impression that was...
That holds precedent.
Anyway, guys, we are here to discuss Men in Black International. We got to see it just a couple of days early because Fuego is vigilant about the offers that are out there on the internet. So he scored us a couple of general admission passes, and we saw it on Tuesday when it comes out on Friday, or technically Thursday night. So we are going to be talking about it. Yes, we acknowledge it's not a full-fledged horror movie by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely more on the sci-fi side, but there are horror aspects to it, especially some stuff towards the end of the movie, which we won't spoil. But yes, some stuff towards the end of the movie could technically count, and nonetheless, we veer off of the horror track every now and again. Sci-fi is a very close cousin to horror, so we get into sci-fi sometimes, and that's what we're doing here.
Especially with alien creatures, man.
Especially alien creatures, and such a long-running franchise that we've been such, it's been a big part of my life growing up.
I love the first one. Second, not
Second
so much.
one, not so much.
But
Third, even worse.
I was tolerant of the third one,
Really?
surprisingly, because I really like Josh Brolin.
Okay. Well, I would need to rewatch the
As
third.
the
It's been so... I only saw the
flashback,
third once, so...
Yeah, playing the younger Tommy Lee Jones character,
Right.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
But let's get into this one.
Yeah.
So, Men in Black International. We'll give our overall thoughts, then we'll talk about the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff in turn. And my overall thoughts were... I actually enjoyed it more so than 2 or 3, I think. It felt a lot closer to 1 than any of the other ones, which makes sense because it's a new person being recruited in. Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth were both great in the movie.
Yes.
It's kind of funny because all of the charisma that Will Smith brought in the first movie, I feel like was kind of split amongst Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth in this one. So they are kind of trying to... beef up the movie where Will Smith, it just took him in order to do what they did together in this one. But, nonetheless, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a fine story. It was very light. I felt like the movie was very light. You know what I mean?
Very just easygoing and so on, and easily digestible, and fun enough.
Summer fun.
Yeah.
Definitely summer fun.
Yeah, most definitely. But
go ahead, your thoughts.
It's like not a franchise that's ever been very heavy lifting to begin with.
True.
Even compared with some of his other stuff, like when he did Independence Day like a year or two before, when he was, Will Smith being Mr. 4th of July weekend and all that other stuff. ID4 had much more emotional moments than the Men in Black movies ever really did.
True.
They were much lighter and much fluffier and stuff. But I especially like what Hemsworth is doing in his career right now. I like the fact that he was almost playing a similar role to the stupidity and such of the Ghostbusters role, but with like not as dumb and yet still playing up the handsomeness.
It felt like a little bit of Captain Kirk.
A little bit.
And that, because he's like the real cocky sort of old, not old hat, but he's the really cocky sort of well-respected, best of the office kind of guy.
And he has a funny moment in the first 15 minutes of the movie where where it's an interaction with him and an alien that just made me laugh, just outright.
Are you talking about the one that's up here doing this?
Yeah. Exactly.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into the story of it. Did you finish your overall thoughts?
Well, it was enjoyable. It wasn't fantastic or anything, but it's not like I went in with immense hopes. And I know that Tessa Thompson and Hemsworth had good chemistry in Ragnarok, and it was a cool repairing of the two of them here. And I felt like they played off one another well.
That is a funny thing. I wonder how many people are going to watch this movie and not even realize that they were Thor and Valkyrie. Yeah. And there is a really funny Thor homage in this, by the way. It was hilarious. And it took me a second. It took me hearing the whole audience laugh at something.
I think I was like, that's funny.
I was like, oh, I get it now. I was like, why is that? Oh, because it's okay.
Yeah.
So no, that's the thing about this movie. And one of the things I will say also, Well, I guess I could get to this more in the acting part of it, so we'll stick with the story. So the story is, Men in Black is an established organization at this point. It's got a legacy. They do sort of have the same homage that you see in the trailer, where there's the painting of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones fighting the bug from the first movie.
Yeah, just to give just reconfirmation of those characters being in the continuity,
correct,
and canon and everything.
Correct. So Men in Black is an established agency with posts all over the world, and Tessa Thompson plays a character who runs into an alien as a little girl. And you see this in the trailer. Her parents get neuralized. She does not. And so she spends her whole life trying to discover the whereabouts and prove the existence of both aliens and the organization known as the Men in Black.
Interviewing with the CIA.
Exactly. And and it's a really funny opening thing where she's doing all these interviews and accepted to all these places, but it's not what she wants. You know what I mean? So she eventually, or pretty quickly actually, it's a quick setup, she finds the Men in Black and is brought in for questioning by Emma Thompson, who is again featured prominently in the trailer. And so
she was in one of the older movies too. She was at least in 3.
Was she really?
Yes, she's one of the fun.
Didn't realize.
The only carryover.
I only saw that one once, so I don't remember very specifically.
Yeah, it was almost like where they had the same person playing Q or what's from James Bond, the weapons guy.
Yeah, Q is weapons.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Q from Star Trek for a second. It's just like, wait, is this overlapping? But yeah, she's from those previous trilogy and stuff. So
okay,
it's kind of cool.
So there is a precedent there. So it is same universe, obviously, and so she Tessa Thompson is accepted in on a probationary period, and when she joins, she quickly finds that Chris Hemsworth is on the hunt, and she's kind of smitten with him when she first sees him.
Which is funny because, well, I guess I don't want to spoil stuff, but I thought things were going to go one way with their characters, and they didn't.
Right.
And I actually liked it.
Yeah, it's nice when they decide to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, they pair up and they start on this investigation, which leads to something. The conspiracy ends up being much bigger than they ever thought it would be.
And you're like, is there a mole inside the organization?
Right, that kind of thing. It's all brought up, and it's Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth investigating all of these things throughout the movie together, and it's really fun. Honestly, it's such again, the easiest way for me to describe it is it was a very light movie. Like you can go in after having had a big meal, and you're not going to walk out feeling over full.
True.
Because it's not that much to digest. It's just summer blockbuster fun, a lot of comic relief.
Much more than I was anticipating. I laughed a lot more in this movie than I
You did.
Especially
You did. The audience did, too.
Especially from like the little dude.
Pawnee. Pawnee is the little character you see in the trailer, played by Kumail Nanjiani. And if any of you didn't know, the voice of Pawnee, if you saw the trailer, if you didn't make the connection with who the actor is, it's the Uber driver in the upcoming Stuber movie. Kumail Nanjiani plays the driver, and Dave Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy plays the cop. So the driver in Stuber is the one who's doing the voice of the little Pawnee character in this.
And he was on Silicon Valley.
And
Amazon movie you just talked about recently.
He was on one of the early, the second episode of the Twilight Zone reboot.
Yeah, which is more akin to this channel, obviously.
He made a movie with his wife, Emily, and it was called The Big Sick.
Right?
Yes. No. She's more of a comedic producer and stuff like that, and a writer.
The scenes and stuff.
Yeah, but so they made a movie called The Big Sick, and it blew up. It was nominated for Oscars.
It was. Yeah.
So that was their first thing that they ever wrote together, and it's based on their actual story.
Yeah,
that's how they got together.
His delivery, dude, as the CGI character was
hilarious.
Hilarious. So many choice line after choice line.
He was the equivalent of the Disney sidekick creature from any Disney movie. The little blah, 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 that kind of thing that's played for laughs. That is what Pawnee was in this movie. But what was impressive was that he got way more involved than I thought he would, and I dug it. Like, I felt satisfied at the end of this movie. Again, it was puddle deep, but it was a fun puddle to play in for an hour and 40 minutes.
Agreed.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So your thoughts on the story?
Yeah, story, once again, fluff, light, and I didn't necessarily think, like, it expanded upon the universe and the mythology
Not
much more so.
No.
You know, but
It just felt like another chapter in the MIB book.
Yeah, and I mean, we learned a little bit more about this horde. Was that what they called them?
The Horde,
The Horde,
that was
one of the
the
intergalactic,
Nemesis,
yeah, from one of these other, planet.
The Horde, who
solar
can
systems,
crunk,
whatever.
apparently, because they were
Yeah,
on the dance floor and all kinds of
which was funny. And
yes, that was me crunking. I don't know what crunking is.
doing your best. I like Neeson in this role, though, and I like just exploring that. I mean, hey, it's called MIB International, and the fact that they explored the international aspect of that there's different cells, throughout the world and so on. And yeah, I thought Hemsworth was written very amusingly, and I thought Tessa Thompson was written very sympathetically in the fact that you really were with her plight of wanting to just expand her mind and learn what is out there beyond our world, which is cool.
She does have, just to interrupt briefly, I'm sorry, she does have the likability and the charm that Will Smith brought to it. She doesn't have the
She was kind of stepping in
overall
for that role,
appearance.
being
Yeah,
the newer
well, that's what I'm
recruit,
saying.
and-
Between her and Chris Hemsworth, they kind of shared the entire thing that Will Smith brought in the first one, but she's really entertaining to watch. She's really fun to watch in the things that I've seen her do thus far.
True.
And now I know Tessa Thompson, so anytime she pops up, I'm gonna be like, hey, it's Valkyrie /
she was still
Men in Black,
dude,
or
she was
Woman
still
in Black.
one of my favorite movies of the year, which we saw at the Phoenix Film Festival. You unfortunately didn't check it out, but it was one on the non-horror side called Little Woods, where she's like smuggling pharmaceuticals back and forth
really?
from
Okay.
Canada, and she's terrific in that movie. So she can do drama, she can do comedy, she is so versatile, and she just continues to impress.
I will say this. Excuse me. There was one Women in Black joke. There's the one from the trailer, the men and women in black.
Yeah. And yet, you know what?
But there was a funny reference earlier.
It was delivered so much better than in Dark Phoenix.
No, but there was the funny reference earlier when they're like, I think it's a trademark thing. Anyway, it was just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
It was so hilarious to me. So it's. The movie is actually funny. Like, the story is told in an amusing way. Again, it's light. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but it's done with entertaining actors, so you kind of don't care. You're just along for the ride on this one.
Yeah, and if we're going to segue into, like, direction and things of that nature, I mean, F. Gary Gray jumping onto this, I mean, I loved Straight Outta Compton, one of my favorite biopics.
Straight Outta Compton!
In the last few years. Crazy mother named Fuego.
Nice, I
from
love
the
that.
Arizona Vans. Anyway.
Hey, you censored yourself. That's all I care about.
Well, I had to. But then he also got his feet wet with doing something bigger, like, was it The Fate of the Furious? I think he did the most recent Furious film.
And the biggest one yet. Like, they get bigger and bigger every movie somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah,
that was the sub in the ice one, right?
All that I know is that Charlize Theron has dreadlocks. From what
Yeah,
I've been told.
that was the sub in the ice one.
Yeah, that's about all.
That movie gets crazier and crazier. Anyway,
that whole franchise.
Sidetrack.
Yeah, but
Hobbs and Shaw
F. Gary
coming this
Gray
summer.
being brought on this, maybe there's a part of me that still wishes we could have had M23 with the 21 Jump Street 2 clowns, because remember that.
Oh, that's right. That was
the
an
thing
idea.
That was supposed to happen.
They were going to cross over 21 Jump Street with Men in Black.
Pascal
That's
was
right.
talking about it, all those leaked emails and stuff, and it never ended up happening.
I would have loved to see Channing Tatum in
could have
this
been-
universe, though.
that could have
But
been
Chris
pretty
Hemsworth is a close second. I mean,
was-
it's the same energy that Channing Tatum would have brought.
Oh yeah, in a lot of ways, man. And
Can
yet
you see
I
him
thought-
walking through and time slowing down on him?
No. Oh yeah, with the point,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
girl is just like rewinding it.
Yeah.
The alien,
I thought that was hilarious.
The alien who's enamored
I think
with him.
you know what? I
and she's
think
just
ladies will have just as much fun in this as men do, because it's Chris Hemsworth is just fun, and they can swoon over him. Like this one might do pretty well.
I give
think.
credit where it's due.
Yeah.
He's a really good looking guy, man.
Oh,
So,
straight up.
I mean,
Like
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I'm not trying to say he's not. If I was that way, he'd be a top point of mine for sure.
You said top. That's funny.
Well, wait, hold on. Wait, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, but Gary Gray's direction was really solid, man. And I didn't like. There was obviously some use of green screen and stuff. Where even one scene in the desert where I was like, oh, they're obviously in the sandy area, and then like shots in the same scene. I'm like, oh, that's obvious green screen. But it was blended well enough, and I thought that just the whole visual sensibility of what he put together was fun. It didn't feel discordant or just like outside of the universe. It did feel at home, and it was it was likable and fun and very visually pleasing. The whole film was very visually pleasing to me.
I agree.
I mean, even like
the direction was good. Yeah,
it was solid.
And there was some cool. Again, without spoiling what happens, the third act is pretty cool. I didn't expect something happens where someone gets flung somewhere, and I'm like, oh crap!
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Like literally, I wanted to lean over to Fuego and go like, I wasn't expecting that to happen at all. Like, I thought for sure it would all happen there.
And also who helps out in that.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, this movie surprised me. It really did. Like, I didn't think they'd go that way. And some people might not like it. Some people might not like certain things of this movie. Some people might not like the thing I mentioned earlier, how involved Pawnee gets. Like, again, like, so there's some aspects of this movie, whether it's Pawnee's involvement, whether it's stuff towards the end, whether it's anything in between. There might be some people that are like, nah, it's too much, but I had fun. I felt it was good. There was also a reveal towards the end that I had forgotten. I was like, this is something towards the beginning happens, and I'm like, this is going to come back. I completely forgot about it.
Was that where you leaned over to me and you were just like, oh,
no. Because I caught that right before the characters did, which wasn't too early. No. But nonetheless, no, it was the thing that ties in later on, and it was a funny reveal where like we're suddenly like, oh, that's the thing from that thing. And
which we can't divulge. I'm trying to remember the correlation that you're mentioning right now, because was it with the hookup? If that's it has to do with. I thought when that
it has to do with what happens with the little girl when she's a little girl.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, there was some stuff.
And the phrase.
And
and
exactly.
What the phrase actually entails.
Yeah. There was some stuff. Like when it happened, I was like, of course, and like that makes so much sense. Of course, it's so great. And like, there's the warning, and like, it was actually a really well put together, cheesy summer popcorn movie. That's all you're gonna get out of this.
Yeah, it's not the most intellectually stimulating or anything of that nature, but
it doesn't need to be.
But it does not have to be. You are totally correct in that sentiment. And I mean, for me, I know how much you like Godzilla and a few of these others, but I probably had more fun with this in some ways.
Really?
Because of the fact that I like the human actors so much more, and yet it really depends what you're going and wanting in this particular scenario. But I just like.
If you go in wanting aliens, you'll get aliens. If you go in wanting Tessa and Chris, you're going to get Tessa and Chris.
Yeah. And
you get all
great
of them.
In this.
There's a lot of aliens in this movie.
Yeah.
And they don't shy. I think they're more heavily integrated. Well, that's not true. They were pretty heavily integrated in the other movies, but they were really heavily integrated. So they don't shy away from it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, since we didn't really touch on acting as much, I mean, I really like the fact that we got none other than Mr. Rob Roy himself, man. I mean,
Liam?
Liam, who has been doing so much more.
Liam Neeson,
who has been doing so much more of this.
He was sort of filling in the Rip Torn role. From some ways,
but also
movie.
With a little bit of the Tommy Lee Jones seriousness.
True.
In some ways,
True.
Yeah, which I appreciated too. And so I thought he was a great addition to this.
And it's funny. Okay, so something that occurred to me.
Guy
no, but listen, something that occurred to me when watching, because Liam Neeson recently had a bit of a thing in the media where he spoke about something, and so I was like, I wonder if they're gonna like cut down on him in Men in Black because of it. No, they actually he's in the movie a ton, and it ultimately makes sense why and stuff like that. So
with how the story stuff progresses.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just a fun movie. Yeah. Now let's talk about those effects, because you mentioned the directing. We hit on that. We hit on the acting.
Yeah, the effects.
Everyone was strong. I mean, there was no weak acting really, but the effects. Such an effects heavy movie. We have to talk about it. I am not maybe the best person to say, I can really point out the really bad CGI. I like to think I have a relatively good eye for it, but there wasn't a ton of bad CGI. Like, all of it was done really well to me in this. I didn't get pulled out of the experience outside of knowing that these things don't exist. You know, it wasn't the effects that drew me out of it at any time. What about for you?
Well, I mean, there were certain creatures that looked better than others, I will admit.
Okay.
But
that's acceptable.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. But for the most part, yeah, I was definitely into the design, and we saw some callbacks to a few characters previously, like the crazy little CGI pug where Tess is first trying to infiltrate.
Yeah.
I was happy to see that callback.
That was a hilarious scene, by the way.
Oh, she thinks she's
talk
so
about
clever.
your amateur
Talk about
hour.
amateur. Yeah, that was great.
That was great.
And then also the weird, like, sticky, like, skinny looking dudes who she sees on the subway. Who were in like, at least a couple of the early.
They've been in
films.
all three, I think.
Okay,
this,
yeah. They're like hallmarks of this at the particular point. But I also really liked when we saw the horde in the back half in the third act, and like they finally.
Yeah, that's sort of the baddie of the movie is the horde.
Yeah.
So
and also the big bad at the very end, the one that you and I hinted at, but we can't divulge because that would be a spoiler.
It's a horrific design. It was beautiful.
The look of that character. That's the closest where we got to the horror show kind of coverage with that creature look. Which is cool.
It's dope. Well, it's very. It follows. It doesn't exactly Force Awakens where it. It does hit very similar beats from the first Men in Black movie.
Well, with her recruitment and all this.
With her recruitment and with the baddie at the end being the scariest thing of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 2 and 3 tried to do things differently and they didn't
necessarily. It didn't succeed. So I think this one succeeds because they follow a lot of those same plot points.
It's
so
like
the thing at the end is scary to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to. And here's the thing: it's reminiscent of some things we've seen before. So I'm not going to tell you what it's reminiscent of, but I'm going to whisper to Fuego real quick. Yeah. Hang on, what's the movie? I just wanted to blow in Fuego's ear.
You totally mentioned it earlier.
No, it was the one with okay, so yeah. Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
And I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Love that movie.
So
also of the science fiction variety, obviously.
Indeed. So there is some cool stuff for horror fans in this movie. Yeah. So and the guys that you see in the trailer end up doing some really cool kind of horrific things too. Yeah. So I don't feel like we're totally out of bounds reviewing this movie here.
No, it's not too far off base, man. And that's where I wasn't gonna make a hard claim that let's Fuego team at this shit or whatever,
Well, if we had done that, I wouldn't be here.
Dun dun dun.
It's okay, establishing a brand, I get it. So here we go, guys. That is the long and short of Men in Black International. It was actually more entertaining than I think either of us expected it to be.
I actually thought it was gonna suck.
Yeah, I didn't have high hopes.
Yeah, I didn't. Despite the cast.
Yeah, but
despite Neeson and Tessa and everybody, and the fact that I really like F. Gary Gray too.
Yeah, I
still just wasn't sure on relaunching this property, especially after 2 and 3 just kind of, thudded along, so to speak. So.
I had more fun with it than I thought I was going to, so I think you guys will too.
Totally.
So why don't you go and watch it when it opens this weekend, and then come back and comment. Let us know what you think of Men in Black International. I'm curious about your guys' opinion. So yeah, let us know in those comments. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Again, we normally stick in the horror genre. And by the way, upcoming next week we are going to be doing a screening of Annabelle Annabelle Comes Home. That review will be going up Monday, the Monday of the actual release of the film. Our review will be going up. We're embargoed till then. Next week we will also be doing starting actually immediately after this review, I'm going to start putting up all of our Child's Play coverage because we're going to review all of the Chucky movies leading up to this remake, as well as 3 different episodes of Child's Play comic book stuff to talk about. So we have 3 different episodes of that to talk about. So yeah, and we're going to be doing the Chucky VR experience coming up. So lots to do this week, lots to come back and watch. Subscribe if you want to watch it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, remember, stay scared.